Good evening. And ni hao for my friends from China. We've been this past few hours spending time and celebrating the season of Christmas. Just a wonderful season as we have gathered together this evening. The real essence behind why we have gotten together this evening as we have seen the dances, the songs, and when everything settles down, what does this all mean? People all over the world celebrate Christmas during this time. It is a celebration of this God who knows no time, who knows no space, decides to come down in the form of an incarnate human being, put on flesh, one who knows no frailties, of human frailties, brings down and makes himself a baby in the womb of a woman called Mary. And he comes out and becomes a human being and walks this earth for a certain number of years. That birth of God in human form is what we are celebrating this evening, and we call it Christmas. This begs the question, why would this God, who is such a mighty creator, become like a creation and walk this earth in this place called Nazareth and in Bethlehem? We heard about, we saw the skit, the true meaning of Christmas, that God came down, but why? Why would this God come down? Why would this God take the form of a baby? Why would this God call himself Jesus Christ? One who is so powerful. Why? I believe the answer lies in the word of love. Christmas is the greatest story of love. It's the greatest story ever told by anyone. It's not a fiction. It is factual, because when Jesus came on this earth, the calendar split into two. We have BC, before Jesus Christ, and AD, after Jesus Christ. The calendar that we know as now proclaims the fact that Jesus was a factual birth. He, as God, came down and he walked amongst us. But why? It's because he loves you and me so much. He loves us beyond you and I can ever imagine. He could have said all those good things from above, from the heavens, but he decided to come down, take the form of flesh. I believe it's because, for example, I have a 5-year-old and about 18 months baby. If I have to talk the language of my children, I cannot talk adult language, can I? If I have to talk to a 5-year-old, I have to become like a 5-year-old. I have to talk to her so that she understands. If I have to talk to my friends in China, I need to talk in Chinese Mandarin so you and I can understand that language. I believe likewise, the mothers all across the world, they talk baby language. Kuchu, 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 kuchu. They talk all this baby language. Why? So that they can relate to the child that they want to talk to. If I have to correct Rebecca, I talk her language. I believe likewise, God, when he had to come down, he had to talk our language. He had to put on flesh. He had to come down and become like one of us and walk this earth, so that he understands what we have gone through as well. And it is the greatest love that he has for us. If there is anything before tonight that we want to get out of the fact, is that Christmas is the greatest love story. It's not 1942, a love story. It's beyond human love. It's the greatest love story between God and you and I. Hence, Jesus became a baby. Now, Christmas is not only a story of love, it is also a story of great joy. It's a story of great joy because this baby Jesus, when he grew up and when he walked this earth for 33 years, he brought a joy amongst a lot of people. He was the greatest healing God of those times. He healed people. The lame walked, the blind saw, the deaf heard, the mute spoke. Jesus performed so many miracles and brought such joy in everyone's life. In fact, I was a personal recipient of such joy in my life. When my aunt who had cancer, terminal cancer, was healed. When this Jesus, whom we celebrate today, his birth, when he came into the room, touched my aunt and healed her of her cancer. Terminal cancer was completely gone. I am a recipient of the joy of Jesus Christ. Today we celebrate such joy. Today, that same God is here today for us. Whatever you are going through, whatever depression you have, whatever it is, if we submit it to Him, as I did 10 years ago, I am fulfilling that call that God has, that great joy, He gives it to us. It's a great time of joy today. That Jesus will give that joy even for us today in this very place. My dear friends, Christmas is not only a great story of love, not only a great story of joy, but it is the greatest story of sacrifice. Not only did God in His heavenly kingdom took out His coat, in His heavenly coat, and He came down and He became like you and I. Not only was that the greatest sacrifice, but this Jesus, whose birthday that we are celebrating today, would walk for 33 years on this earth in the city called Bethlehem and in and around Jerusalem, around that place. Then after those 33 years was done, that same Jesus that we are celebrating today would hang on that cross that we see. And He would hang on the cross and He would die for all the people of this world. It is the greatest sacrifice that man ever gives his entire life. The greatest sacrifice that He would give is He would shed this baby that Mary's tender hands holds at this time. 33 years later, that He would walk this earth, and after doing all those things, He would die on the cross. Now, why would God die on the cross? The fact is that you and I have done so many things. So many things we cannot get to God. Now, this Jesus, when He died on the cross, that very act of that sacrifice puts to bed every other sacrifice that we have to do. We don't have to do another sacrifice because Jesus died on the cross for us. That very same blood, if we accept Him, that sins of yours and mine will be cleansed by His blood. And He would, and that He did on the cross started all in the manger in Bethlehem. And that's all we are celebrating today, my dear friends. Christmas is a great story of love. It's a great story of joy, but more so, it's a great story of sacrifice of God coming down and dying for us. For you and for me. It's not a Western God. It is not an Eastern God. It is not an Indian God. He's a God of all people, of all those who come to Him. And if we accept Him as God, that blood that He shed on the cross would wash away every sin that we have committed. And it will give us the greatest joy, that one that I've experienced. So even this season, even as we walk through this time in these next few days, as we celebrate, I want us to ponder about Christmas, the great story of love of God towards us, the great story of joy that He would give to us, but more so, the great sacrifice that God did when He came down and walked in human form. I want to wish every one of you a Merry Christmas, and this next thing that we are going to do enacts the fact of that great God, the great Creator, the great loving Father, who would come down and accept you and I as his child. Merry Christmas.